other pets, do you ever wonder how much dogs actually understand you when you talk?
Dr. Andrea Dennis is telling us about an incredible study that finds that dogs really do get us. Hi, Dr. Dennis. How are you?
They know what we're thinking. They're listening for real?
Some words, and I think that's what this study tried to prove, or it did end up proving it. I mean, they went in with like a normal study where you have a theory, and what was incredible about this is that they found out which side of the brain actually understands words and which side of the brain actually understands the tone. You know, whether it's high and, you know, really praising them, or whether it's just sort of a monotone sort of, you know, discussion. So.
Now, I don't have a dog, and Karen, you know, Karen and I are cat people,
right.
But we, when I speak to my cat and I go, "Hi, sweet," they know that. They roll over. They're like, "What's that? What is he?" But if you raise your voice, they kind of buck.
They do, and I think we sort of instinctively feel that our pets understand us and know our words. I think what the study tried to prove was what part of the brain. Can they truly understand our tones, or is it just, so that's where this is science. So
right.
Now, not everybody agrees with this study. There was actually 13 dogs in the study. We actually had to go into an MRI machine. I think we actually have a picture that actually shows these dogs in an MRI
look,
scanner.
He's got the cone of shame around him, the huge cone of shame.
They saw the brain, which part was activating?
Exactly, and from there, and what was amazing about the study, too, is how do you train dogs? Because they could not be sedated. There were 13 dogs that they had to stay perfectly still for up to 8 minutes. And that's
how does that happen?
Well, it's training. It's all about training.
Wow.
And they actually had earphones on them as well.
Oh, my God.
Earphones, and their electrodes were hooked up to them.
There's been a lot of treats involved.
If you really look at the dog all the way at the end.
Yeah.
He's got earphones in, and that's where the trainers actually spoke the words into their ears. And sometimes they did it with high praise and a high intonation, and other times it was just like if you said, "I love you," or "love," it was like in a monotone voice. So what they found, that the left side of the brain, the left hemisphere, just from the words alone, that would get very activated. And then the tone was actually on the right hemisphere. And then when the two of those together, when you like praise them and said, good boy, you know, and then they went into what they call their reward center. And that's the same center that when you give them treats and when you praise them and you pet them, that when the combination of those two things together, their reward center would go off crazy. So what I think this, you know, I'm always telling people to watch their dogs' weight and their cats' weight. And a lot of times they don't always need food. Just give them a nice little praise and a nice little reward.
And then they get happy.
And they get very happy. But again, what's so amazing is how do you know, these dogs were trained not to move, no sedation. They sort of put their heads right like this, and they had to stay like this for 8 minutes. And that was all the trainers.
Adorable.
They're just adorable. So, you know, some people, there's more studies to come, but this is what this one proved.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fantastic.
And we have another tip as we want to make sure that people are not doing this. You don't want to wash your dog.
No, I think what we're going to start doing this season is sort of have a segment of do's and don'ts.
Oh, we'd love that.
Okay, you know, just something we can sort of count on every week, and I'm all about prevention and keeping your animals safe.
Right.
Yeah.
But I have a colleague that actually mistakenly put her cat in the washing machine.
Oh my gosh.
Well, she didn't put it in the washing machine. The cat actually jumped in, and you didn't check. So the cat was actually in the washing machine for 30 minutes in a cold water cycle.
Oh my God.
And it did survive.
Wow.
But you too do have your kitty cat. So one of the things you don't want to do is just always close the door to your washing machine, your dryer, your dishwasher, because you know you start loading the dishwasher,
They love the dishwasher.
They do, you know, and then they go in and people think I'm going to check, but they don't always check.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
And then we have many documented cases of actually, you know, animals passing away in the dryer because it just gets so heated. So the do's in this really is to always check. You know, always go through the clothes, and then before you close that door, and then I would, see, man, this is sort of like not promoting this, but this is what they do, and especially now, how many of us now have front-loaded washing machines?
Supposed to leave them open so they don't get the mildew.
Exactly. So they're in there, and then you're just sort of rushing, and you're throwing some dark clothes in there, and they're sleeping because it's nice and warm. So really, just always check and double check before you press that start button. And I actually have another colleague. I mean, I have a cat and a dog that she will not start the washing machine or the dryer unless she can actually see the pets.
Well, that's my rule. I don't know if you know, I'm a little crazy. Before I leave on a trip, I go through and I make sure all the closets in the house are closed, because I don't want them to get in a closet and then I close it.
Right.
And then I'm gone. And then I absolutely have to see both cats before I leave the house.
That's perfect.
That's just one of my rules. I just have to see both of them before I leave the house.
Well, and again, here I am, you know, we have examples of this happened to a veterinarian. So that's why it's not just that we should feel bad because we should know better.
Right.
But just the instance of, you know, let's just be careful. I know these are the little things that people don't think about, but that's what we're here to remind you about.
Absolutely.
If we can help you, we would love it.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dennis.
You're welcome.
As a reminder, Dr. Dennis is the owner of the Bloomfield Animal Hospital on Old Windsor Road in Bloomfield. And on alternating Saturday afternoons from 2 to 3, she's taking listener questions during Pet Talk on WTIC 1080, so tune in if you can.